Hi and welcome. Speak Up. Well, it's not Monday today, but it is a Speak Up. We have a special live stream today from India. A wonderful lady, a wonderful guest called Priya Kumar, which I'm going to introduce very shortly. And as you know, for those of you tuning in, perhaps you're tuning in from India, perhaps it's your first time. So Speak Up Monday, I founded about 3 or 4 years ago, and we're up to almost 250 episodes now. And Speak Up Monday started out of this Monday. Monday's a day where, most people who attempt suicide do it on a Monday. And I lost 3 friends over the space of a year. Hospitality industry. They looked good, smell good, had everything that everybody thought was success. Yet that's what happened. So on a day where that is possible, we thought, let's drop a stone of positivity, a stone of inspiration into a pond of still water, and those ripples of positivity, positive energy and vibe can affect the whole. So that's how Speak Up Monday started, and as I said, now it's been almost 250 episodes, and it's we're here live from Bali, Indonesia. Now, Priya Kumar, welcome to the show. I'll give you a bit of an introduction in a minute, but I just want to say thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for making yourself available and for reaching out. It is really appreciated. I'm so excited, looking forward to the incredibly powerful, positive waves of inspiration that we can send out tonight to the world.
Oh, thank you, Robert. I must say thank you to you first. What a wonderful initiative. I always like the purpose and the intention behind the action, which actually is the main driving force. So it's my privilege to be a part of your purpose. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. And look, just to introduce your beautiful self, because people maybe here in Bali might be thinking, Priya Kumar, I've heard the name, but who is she? And what is a tourism architect? So we'll do them in reverse order. So tourism architect is all about unity. It's a brand which is about how do we empower us to come together, not separation, but inclusion. And then what I do specifically is use strategic partnerships and collaborations to ensure that great projects with a social bias get off the ground. And this is what we call tourism. But Priya, this will be the longest introduction I think I've ever done, and I'm so happy to do it. But Priya, you're what I call an Indian legend, a phenomenal human being. Internationally acclaimed motivational speaker and debutant film director. You're a best-selling author of over 15 inspirational books. I've just written one. I know how difficult that was. a biography specialist, including Olympic coaches, business titans. You've worked for more than 2,000 multinational corporations across 47 countries. And your words, your deeds, your courses, your workshops, your seminars have touched over 3 million people. Wonderful. And you're the only female in India to have done any or all of this together. And there's still more. The only Indian author who has won over 42 international book awards. You've won the Good Karma Award for India's most inspirational speaker, 700 columns for national and international publications, and now you're turning yourself to turning these books into magnificent films and projects that we can see on the silver screen. Welcome to the show, Priya.
Thank you very much for the lovely introduction. I tell you, it's a lot of pressure now. You have an introduction like that, and I don't know what the audience are expecting out of me. So yes, hopefully this should all go as expected.
Like when I, like I said, it's the longest introduction I think I've ever done, and I'm happy to do. But like, how does it feel to you? Because you're a wonderful human being. You had these sensibilities, and we had a little pre-chat yesterday. I get this beauty, this empathy, this understanding about you. So when you have, like, as you mentioned, like a drum roll like that, this beautiful introduction, like what comes across your mind? Do you think, like, that's quite a lot of things that I've done, or is it like, well, that's great, but there's more to do? Like, what comes up?
Yeah, actually, when things like this come up in numbers, when some numbers are thrown, like I already have 5 books in the writing. I've gone beyond that. So for me, it's like I will continue to do this. It's not about anything else but impact. While I may sit back and think, oh, I've done a great job, but then look at the state of the world. It needs more, it needs better, it needs further reach. And until that is the destination that I cover some distance to, I don't think I'm going to rest in peace. And I have so many more stories. It's like catching people from every angle. You want those who don't read books, I want to make a movie. Those who don't watch movies, I want to do a podcast. Those who don't do either, compulsorily attend a workshop. So it's like a 360-degree, I'm everywhere, catching people and saying, hey, you can have a better life. You can do better. You can, reach your potential. You can be happy. And all of that is possible in simple steps. And I'm standing as, the person who is in this chase to let people know that they can do it. They can be it.
And like,
so there's so much more.
I mean, when did this? You mentioned the word chase, right? It's like I've got this period of time that's limited. I'm in a chase to get everything done. When did this chase start for you? Like were there some milestones that you can look back and say, you know what? There were 3 important milestones that kind of set me on my path. What comes up when I say that?
It's interesting. Yeah, nobody's ever asked me that question. So what I can think of is, when I started working very early, I started working when I was 13 years old. So I remember I was in school and I was the top ranker, so my father said, look, it's very difficult for us to put you into school. It costs a lot of money, and the least you can do is be a top student. So it was a fair deal. I put you into school, you come out as a topper because somebody else will make it. So why not you? It'll be worth everything. So I was always a top student, and my best friend in school in 8th grade, she was so bad, like she flunked, and she had flunked her way to 8th grade that I had caught up with her. And I was thinking, if she flunks again, I'm going to go ahead, she's going to be left behind. And then maybe the relationship won't be as it is because, we're sitting together. And I took up the responsibility to teach her professionally, to get her, because I thought she was very smart. I mean, she was my best friend, so she had to be smart, but something was missing. And when she moved from a 35% grade score to an 80%, it just got the attention of the whole class. It got the attention of the teachers and the parents that what happened, to this girl. And they started sending me their students and their kids that add them into your study circle. And that's how I started. So I feel, because I am always looking, how can I be better? How can I be faster? How can I cover more distance? How can I make more impact? That's my quest for life. And as I do it and I understand the process, it's literally compulsive for me to share it with others that, hey, there's a way, I have done it. Look, do it for yourself. And it started with her, and it's a mission that's still not over.
Wow.
So that's where it started.
Wow.
I was a student all through my student journey. By the time I graduated, so I started in 8th grade till graduation, I taught about 1,900 students, in 9 years. So that was that was how it was. I did all homeschooling because I was the teacher, so I really didn't need to be taught because I was teaching. So I did homeschooling, I did home college, and that's how I made it.
Wow. And when you look back, like it's this great question of, like, was I born to do this, or was this a choice, or was this, or was this my dad, saying, hey, Priya, this school costs a lot of money. The least you can do is be a top student.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Dad, like maybe people are watching thinking like, how could I be like Priya? Like what is it that she has? What is it that started this whole? Well, we know what started part of it, but what is it, that she learned? That step by step. What does that mean? What comes up for you?
See, I'd like to say I was born with it, and that would immediately bracket me into a category. But if I have to, and then that's an excuse for others. Okay, perhaps I was not born with it.
Yeah.
So kind of excuse, and why don't you do the extra job since you were born with it? So what comes to my mind is something that was different between my brother and I and my cousins, and the environment was that I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. Literally, they were my friends, they were my end all. So imagine in a company of people who are like 4 times, 5 times elder to you, you are being spoken to in hindsight, and I think that really developed me faster than everybody else. For example, if I would ask my grandfather, why is the moon round? So he would say, I don't know, but can you find out for me? And now I was on a mission to find out from my grandfather, why is the moon round? And he made me naturally curious. If you pluck these 2 people out of my life, my core company would have been kids my age, and then I would have grown at their speed, perhaps. Like till date, my best friends are at least 10 years, 20 years elder to me. And that's something that I have maintained. So I think that like even when you look at our heritage, like the kings would send their princes and whoever to learn in the Gurukul, through the elder teachers in their custody. The learning happened there. It was not peer-to-peer learning. It was learning with the guru. So I think my grandparents played a very, very important role in instilling this drive, this thing in me where I can easily take the credit and say I was born like this, but I think they had a big hand to play. So watching out for good company, I think, is a game changer.
And you mentioned history, and I mean India is a
Yes.
place that has so much incredible history. So if I asked you,
Right.
Priya, what part, if any, has the history had a part to play in the success that you call your life?
Again, I like this a lot. You're taking me back, like to the root, to the start. And I like this kind of curiosity because, sometimes when we're looking for keys to success, we look at it from the destination. We look at it from the present standpoint. It may not be true. Let's go back to where it started, the basic, the foundation, which forms the success. So when I was growing up, at that time, television, we didn't own a television, and we used to go to the neighbors to watch the television, and there weren't many shows. There was a Sunday show, which was Mahabharata, Ramayana, the old ones, which would show the value system of our kings, the value system of, the epics that we study today. And we would listen to that, watch that, and translate it back to life because really you had nothing to do. That was the only thing that would stay in your mind. And adding to what you said earlier, that shaped me a lot because a lot of what was shown, especially in the Indian heritage, was contribution, was upliftment, was empathy, was doing good, was the karmic cycle explained. So I think that set a very good foundation to who I am.
Mm. And you know, look, I look at you. I see this beautiful woman who's very smart, sharp, intelligent, and driven. You know, and look, you know, like they say that the masters make stuff look easy. You know, it's a bit like a duck. You know, on the water, on the surface, all is serene and calm and beautiful. But under the level of the water, the legs are like going like crazy. So,
Yeah.
so what were, you know, like, I mean, one thing comes up, for example, you know, being a woman in India, you know, having to have that, like, what kinds of experiences could you liken to, like, the legs under the water where on the top looks calm and serene? What kind of experiences like that come up for you, if you could name or talk about any of them that come up?
So see, being a woman entrepreneur, when I started out, so after I graduated, the general, you know, way the society works, it has changed a lot now, but I'm going back to 26, 28 years, is let's get married. You're done with the studies and now, you know, you look after the house and so on. But I had aspirations. So I asked for 2 years. They give me 2 years. I want to really see if I can do something. And I was granted 2 years. It's okay. I mean, because I had proven myself. I had taught 1,900 students while in school, and I had a lot of money. You know, I was the richest kid on the block. So my parents said, okay, granted 2 years, go ahead. And now it was a race that I should do so much in 2 years that I can ask for I can start making my choices, that it should not be chosen for me, but I should decide and get the support of people. And therefore, I worked so hard to establish myself that the minute I came here, it's impossible to leave. You know, you have to cross that point of no return. And in my career as a motivational speaker, because it took me to fly around, to go away from home, and that was unheard of in my era. That, you know, a woman moving around places alone, you know, and talking to gatherings of men, inspiring them, motivating them. This was like, what just happened? But I had to create a dent where people understood that she will go ahead, and I earned that. So it was a lot of hard work. But luckily, you know, for me, I didn't have challenges in the sense based on my gender where people would pull me back. And I understood this one thing about humankind, that we love people who work hard. You know, you see someone focused and dedicated, our natural response is support. Our natural response is empathy. I don't see people pulling people down who are really at it, focused and working. So that way, yes, I kept asking for extensions, and I think I'm on my maybe 100th extension for now. That, you know, give me 2 more years, give me some more time, and then I would think about, you know, what else to do. Yes.
You know, it's wonderful. Like, what I'm picking up is, you know, this 2 years, like this limited deadline window. I've got to get it done. And if I get there and it's not done, I'll get another one, you know. And then I also get this, you know, this empathy, you know, that you spoke about. So in a way, you know, bringing these things together, because the title tonight is about securing, you know, an incredible 2022. And so with that, with that in mind, you know, like, which parts to play does a deadline, does empathy and unity, how do they, if they do, but how do they all interrelate in the general topic of securing the best 2022?
Yeah, I think, see, security comes from confidence. It comes from focus and discipline, that yes, things will be challenging. The world is not sitting and waiting for a motivational speaker to show up, especially not in a time when the industry in India did not even exist, which means I have to create my space. I have to make a dent. And that comes from a very strong purpose, a set of talents, confidence, willingness to hustle, willingness to make peace with challenges. I write books, and I wrote the book of a very famous coach in India who is the coach for the national badminton team, and he's a world player himself. So he said, you cannot be a champion, you cannot dream of being a champion if you can't make peace with pain, because it is going to hurt. Practice is going to hurt, injuries are going to hurt, and you cannot say it's hurting. Okay, so when we talk about securing your success, I have to make peace with pain. I have to make peace with challenges, with losses, and so on. And if all of these unite empathetically, that, just because I've made a decision doesn't mean I can throw my weight around. It does not mean that I expect you now to forget what you're doing and pay attention and prioritize my task. I have to have that empathy that, like I am on my way, you are also on your way. And that is the way forward. So I would put all of these together in a basket. They need to work in unison. They need to work in tandem. It's like, full lift off. Like when you are in the aircraft, it's all onto full throttle, and that's how you make it to securing your success. That no matter what happens, I know I'm going to make it. I got these things sorted.
That's such a powerful message, and, you mentioned before about the hustle, about working hard, about people supporting you, about, people want you to succeed, that they want to push you on, a bit like, when you're watching like a marathon and you're halfway through and there's people going, come on, and you feel like death, and you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to
exactly yes, I don't see any bystanders telling the runner, hey, quit, I don't think you're going to make it, you're just too slow, you're not born for it, leave. They're always encouraging, and that's testimony that the humankind is a supportive species.
And like books, right? So I've written a book, okay? And, was it How an Abandoned Child, it's called Soul Survivor, as in your soul Survivor, How an Abandoned Child Went from Nothing to Everything, published by New Holland, right? So I've been through this process of writing a book, and another book's coming, and now... But here's the thing. So with every interview that I do, which has been quite a few now, right? It's very difficult for me not to question, in a way, what I'm doing in that particular area. So let me give you a bit of clarity. So it's a bit like this, So the last interview. Which was a few days ago, with a wonderful woman who's a speech, like a public speaking coach, and very good at what she does, and so on, but even in that conversation, even though that's what I do, I'm a public speaker, I do that, right? It's fine. But there were things that she said that still triggered me, not in a bad way, but triggered me from the sense of maybe kind of consider or reconsider what I believe to be true, right? And this happens with almost every interview in a way. So now you've met a great number of people. You've impacted 3 million people. You've made a movie. You've done all these things. So you've had this large interaction with people. So what do you do? So are you, impacted by mastery? Do you take things on and reconsider your position on things, or do you stay a little bit more closer to home, saying, well, this is what I know to be true, and this is what I'm going to run with? Like, how do you process that?
I have met with amazing, legendary people, and they've impacted me. And something that stands out always is the human factor, the empathy, the, reaching out to another person at a human level. To give you an example, I was going to give a talk, and the Indian superstar, that is Amitabh Bachchan, was there. Okay, now he's like George Clooney, internationally. So that's his stature. And I couldn't sleep for weeks that, my God, he's the speaker before me. Who's even going to be interested in listening to me? And he's like 6'3" tall and I'm 5'2", and they'd be like, okay, just get her off and get him back again for the next 1 hour. So I was like really worked up. So I thought, I'm not going to listen to him. I'm not even going to see him. I will quietly go and sit backstage, okay, with earplugs, because I don't want to be overwhelmed by the man. Otherwise, I'll forget what I have to say. I go backstage, and guess who's sitting backstage with a sheet of papers? Amitabh Bachchan. The exact thing I didn't want and I was resisting was in my face. Okay. And he looked at me, and there was this huge poster where his face was so big, and in little small circles were the other faces of the speakers. So he looks at me, he looks at the little circle, and he says, you're a speaker here. And I said, yes, sir. And he started to interview me. Where are you from? What do your parents do? How did you start so early? Aren't you too young? What are you going to speak about? Don't you get nervous? Oh my God, who does that? And the guy had got us coffee, and because he was talking to me, so I was sipping my coffee, and I spoke to him about 20 minutes. I spoke. He was interested in me. Okay. Wow. And then when we finished the conversation, the manager came to tell him, Mr. Bachchan, you have to leave. And then he looks at his cup and say, oh, you didn't even start your coffee. And he says, no, I was listening to her. That's it. Oh my God, I can never, ever forget. I wanted to spit all my coffee out because I, while speaking, had drunk it. And the man gave me the honor and respect of listening. So at that stature, he doesn't need to listen to anybody. That to listen to him, and not losing that. No matter how high you go, not forgetting that the person in front of you is also a somebody, has also accomplished in their caliber whatever that they have, and being curious was marvelous. No, he's not just a superstar; he's a super amazing human being as well. And from everybody that I have met, I have picked up such saving life lessons that it is very humbling to know that these are the pillars success stands on. Like for instance, I was talking once, and we had the Indian cricketer Kapil Dev. He was a superstar in his times, the top Indian cricketer, and it was my talk and his talk later. Okay, but in between, I had to call upon the CEO of the company, who was a Japanese gentleman. Okay, so after I finished my session, I had to say, now I will hand over the mic to Mr. So-and-so and leave. That's all I had to do. I forgot his name. I had memorized it. It was a Japanese name. And oh my God, I finished my session, and I'm holding the mic, and I say, now I invite, and the man stood up on his chair, and I cannot remember his name.
The CEO.
Okay? It was so bad. I still, my hands go cold thinking about it. Okay. And finally he just walked up, and it was in a funny way. He just said his name. He saved my face. And I walked down the stairs of the stage, and the managers came running backstage. And all that guy did was, that's it. He never said a word. He just made that expression that, what did you just do? Okay. And I was like, oh my God, I'm fired forever. My session was brilliant, but I forgot the CEO's name. And who do I see when I look up was Kapil Dev. Okay. And he says, that was a brilliant session. And I said, yes, sir. But in the end, I messed up. He's like, I saw, because he could see the screen. And then he tells me, remember this, I am today India's top player, top. I didn't win every match. That when the country was rooting for me, I have been bowled out on the first ball with my head down, feeling low. It's not about how much you lose, it's about how much you win. So it's okay. He saved my life, because wow, I would have beaten myself down on the error that I made. And that's what sticks with me. And I have a policy. Whenever I meet legendary people, whenever I meet great people, I always ask questions. I want to pick their mind. How do they handle things? How do they make it? Because somewhere their one statement saves my life, or teaches me lessons to be really successful. He had no business telling me that, but he knew how it felt to walk down from the stage with your head hung low, and he couldn't allow me to be that, just like I did for my best friend, that I will not have her being left behind and I go forward. I think that truly defines success, when you in your vicinity won't leave anyone behind. You will take them forward. So I can give you so many examples. Like, we can sit here for many, many Mondays, and one story after the other. But I'm really blessed to have this kind of an interaction and real lessons.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful, and as you mentioned, that these people have been there, they've seen it, they've had those successful failures, as a friend Gil Petersall calls them, successful failure, and I love what you're saying about one of the keys to securing a successful 2022 is realizing that we're in this together, realizing that unity is in a way our natural state, is asking questions of people, is having this beginner's mind, this learning mind, this sense of mastery, right? That we can keep learning and keep, like as you said, and I love that, like it's not how much you lose, it's how much you win. Like it's so simple, yet when you really get into it, it can elevate and kind of move you up to a place of understanding and realization that, hey, I'm actually doing good. Today we had a successful failure, but in the whole, we're doing good, which again is sometimes all that you need. The amount of times, and this will happen to you as well, where I've had friends, which were having really bad days, and I never knew it, but I came over with a smile or just make them laugh about something else, and months or sometimes years later, and they say, remember that day that da 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 da, and usually I wouldn't remember, saying, well, that day I was feeling really down, really low. And what you did, or what I saw, or what this person did, was that thing that kept me going. It's like this guy, Zig Ziglar, like, was it, with that massive energy that he has, like, today, was it, is the first day of the rest of your life. It's like, what do you mean? Today is the first day of the rest of your life. And when you think about it, today is the first day of the rest of my life. Then it's like, okay, then who do I want to be today? What choices and decisions do I want to make today that will set me up for the rest of my life, And so all of these things kind of coalesce and come in when I hear you speak. It's beautiful. So on that, yeah, thank you. So on that note, like, what other gifts, that come up for you, that you could pass on to people in order to have, a successful, 2022?
See, I'll tell you, it's a build-up, okay? And it has to start somewhere. Like, people think, oh, just because I started, where's the success? It takes time to gather. It takes time to bear the way that you have envisioned. Sadly, we live in a universe where distance and time is a reality. And while, they say you can bend it and take that quantum leap, I really don't know how to do it yet. And I'd be very curious if somebody has done it. So there's something that I have followed all my life, that every single year I dedicate 1 month, if not 2, to learn a new skill.
Wow.
Totally out of my bracket of work. Okay, so I will not upgrade on motivational speaking, but other things, like I learned to play the guitar, I'm a professional hairdresser, I'm a painter, I can paint on crockery, I can do oil paints, I can do acrylics, I can do carpentry, I have learned Vastu, I've learned Feng Shui, oh my God, every single year, including filmmaking, screenwriting, direction, which has nothing to do with my job. And you know what, like Steve Jobs said in his one of his talks, that you can actually connect the dots. They teach you so much externally, because otherwise you can get so blindsided with what you do, and without meaning to, you could overstep. You could hurt people, or you could not see the way forward. But when you are so diverse in your personality, it all comes back, and fits in neatly with what you do. And also it opens up avenues of possibilities, because when you're learning new things, it is also new avenues of possibilities. So you're always confident. Like, for instance, if somebody says, okay, if you were not a motivational speaker, what would you do? I can do so many things. Look at the array of interests that I have ignited. So you cannot break my confidence, because and these are all avenues of passion. I didn't pursue them because this is my core job, but I could indulge in it. So learning something new, putting out arrows into the universe, originating from your love. And look, passion and profession are two separate things. Don't mix the two. But as long as your passion is also alive, it keeps pumping back confidence, creativity, mental well-being, a great attitude, and so on, back to your profession. Like, for instance, I have a friend who pursued singing. He's also a speaker. He would sing and then, he would talk, and in the end he'd say, okay, on a parting note, let me leave you with a song. Oh my God, he would get a standing ovation just for that. That how cool is this? You speak so well and you sing so well. And stuff like that, So there was one time I was talking, the end of it, I took one of my paintings and I said, I'm going to give this to that gentleman who really, kept us going, and I liked what he did and so on. And everybody was like so overwhelmed. Oh, you're a painter as well. So it brings so much confidence in self, because you see, security is not outside. Security is within. Even if you give me money, right now, does that really secure my future? Because I could blow it up like that. Money never saved a person's, what do you say? Of course, in a way it can, but it cannot secure your future. The attitude, the confidence, the personality, that is the real security. And that is built in expansion. So if you start today in, putting yourself out there, the rewards, like Steve Jobs said, in hindsight, you will attribute a lot of happiness, stability, success back to those little things that you did around.
Wow, phenomenal. Love that. What comes up is a few things. So one is, this, you mentioned about passion and profession in a way being separate, which I'm going to come to in a second. And there's a great friend, a guy called Benjamin Croft. If he's watching, hello, Ben. Awesome human being. He had a company that I think just sold that is, I think, was the largest or the best company in the world of executive coaches. And so he would have all his executive coaches, global, the top of the top, the cream of the cream, and went with that. But the reason why he comes into my head is because he was probably one of the first people in the last 5 years which has been this proponent of, your passion is your passion. Your profession doesn't need to be your passion. Like your profession can just be literally you saying, okay, what are the skills that I have? Where are the gaps? If success, let's talk about it. If success, money is about identifying a need and filling that need and using a system to do that, so I can fill the need of millions of people as opposed to one or two, then money comes as a direct result. Okay, so then what he was more in line with was like figure out, once you locate an industry, use data, use trends, figure out what is needed and supply that need. So then coming back to the question, when you said about passion and profession, perhaps being separate, could you give us a little bit more insight into that? Because I could be completely wrong. But what comes up for you?
So, for instance, I have a friend who is a singer. He's one of the top singers, Sonu Nigam, in the country. And, one would think, oh, you are following your passion. Your passion is your profession. Now, let's put a little wall. So, passion is when he's on stage. The actual singing is the passion. When he takes the mic and he just mesmerizes people into another world. But to get to the stage is the professional part, dealing with people, negotiating, finding out ways, setting up a company, and setting out processes. So a lot of artists, and I have friends who are a lot of artists, stand-up comedians and so on, they love what they do. It's the passion. But to get there is a nightmare. That literally you have to cross hurdles, you have to overtake competition, you have to compromise on pricing or whatever not. And they're like, but I wade through that to get there. So a lot of times people have great careers, and they're doing very, very well. For example, I was speaking to a CEO who is doing so well in his career, and he says, but you know what, my passion is singing. And I said, what stops you? Over the weekends, why can't you go and sing somewhere? And he does that pro bono. He doesn't need the money, and therefore he doesn't have to cross that nightmare journey which comes with the profession. He's living that in his core job, where he's answerable to the stakeholders, where he's answerable for people under him when they perform, don't perform, and it's literally the same thing that they're doing. And then he goes and just loses himself, rejuvenates himself through his singing and comes back.
Wonderful.
So that's why it's two different things.
Got it. Wonderful. And so Speak Up Monday, a good friend of mine, Richard Harrington, he's like, Rob, the gold is deep. The oil is deep. It's not on the surface. It's deep. So look, keeping that in mind, it's just ringing in my head now. You're from India, which I think everybody. I haven't been there. As I mentioned, I think yesterday, classical Indian meditation is something that just resonated with me from a long time ago. A guy called Muktananda that then moved straight through to Nityananda, who was the guy that I spent most time with. And we can't. I don't think we could, in this first conversation, I believe we're going to have a lot more conversations, but I don't believe that I could leave this one without talking about India and this in the context of securing a successful 2022, this deep-rooted sense of spirit or spirituality that emanates either from or through India. So then if I were to say to you, Priya, where is it that you sit? Again, we've gone through, the work stuff, the career stuff, and, sharpen your axe, sharpen your tool, right? Get better at what you do, get all this outside feedback, this stimuli from the greats. What can I learn from this person, that person? How can I employ it? Work hard, keep on going, right? Be cheered on, empathy, love, bring these people in, let's co-create this future. So all of that is in a way is a bit outside, right? I'm sure empathy is also inside, but majoritively speaking, it's a bit outside. So the core of you, from a spiritual perspective, where is it that you sit? What is it that appeals to you, that pulls you, or that attracts you?
That's very, very interesting, and only a person who has that endowment, or who has that understanding in depth can ask this question, so it's such a pleasure to be speaking with you. See, for me, spirituality, if we talk about spirit, it's eternal, it's not a belief that I have. I know that, it's like, I just couldn't have been like this in the first attempt. I'm sure I've been around, learned my lessons. And now what you see is a well-learned, a well-fallen, a oiled mindset that can differentiate, okay, this is right or wrong. Because see, as much as we are taught right or wrong, we have an inner conscience that guides us. Where does that guidance come from? I think it is a loop, or it is, we have traveled so far, okay? And I know that we are eternal beings. And look, while eternity is what we talk about, and we can't really prove it in daily things because this material world is so transient, everything that starts comes to an end. So I have always, in the recent past, not like always, but in the past decade or so, I have questioned that, look, I am a body. End of the day, I am operating through the body, which will also come to an end. So everything that I have bought, everything that I have acquired and accumulated, including the fame, including the name, the money, it's all going to go when the body is gone. Okay. So then what stays? What is eternal then about me? If it's all going to go next, Priya Kumar not available. Okay, who's next? Am I going to be written off? Then how am I living out the eternal spirit that I have? And I made a conscious decision that my work, everything that I do, should have the essence, the signature of eternity. So I have written books. You're not going to wipe the books off, and so I often joke that, maybe in the next lifetime, I'll go to a bookstore and say, this is a nice book by Priya Kumar. Okay, no longer alive, but lovely book, who knows? I would come back as a beneficiary of my work. And if there is a comeback, then what kind of world am I leaving? So my vision is 100 years from now, 200 years from now. Like I'm taking all of my work and I'm putting it on a digital platform, inviting more forces. That when I'm gone, it still continues. It should not end. It's not a next. Can my work, can my passion, can my contribution, the expression of my talent be extended in the direction of eternity? And if I can do that, I tell you, every single profile and job has that potential. And if I actually participate in it mindfully, then I have secured success for eternity. 2022 is still short term, but it's a great start. So can you be a beneficiary of your work when you come back? Or whose work are you going to be a victim to or effect to? And that is a driving force and purpose, guiding me in my daily decisions, guiding me in my choice of work, in my choice of partnerships and collaborations. And it is just such a satisfying feeling that while I'm alive now and while I am doing the work now, I'm also excited for the next round.
Wow, man, I love that. It's funny. I'm probably going to look back at this time we had together, and I'm going to realize I've just said, I love that about like 100 times. I love that. Oh, my goodness, I love that. You speak about the future, which, yes, I love that. Like what kind of, and this is whatever comes up for you, like what kind of future would you like to see?
I want to see a more expansive future. Are you saying for me or for the world?
It's whatever comes up for you.
Okay, all right. So the future for me is like, what excites me is newness. What excites me is not done before. I have not done before, because that is where my growth is. So I'm not the kind of person who rests on my laurels. Oh, I've done enough. I have enough. I used to say very arrogantly about a decade ago, I'm exactly where I want to be. And I have a secure future. Now it's about contribution. That if my work is reaching 3 million people, how can I reach more? How can I travel a further distance? So for me, future is, while I say the planet is my home, I truly want to be connected worldwide with people. And it's not just connected, real-time connection. So I reply to all my messages. I reply to all my emails. It's me. It's nobody else. So that's what I'm looking for in the future. New experiences, being willing to experience anything from falls to rises to success to whatever, bring it on. If the world has those many facets, I want to experience all the facets without judgment.
Wow.
So participation is my key for success.
Wow. What comes up, this question pops in. I'm laughing because I was like, where'd that one come from? It's like, okay. It's like, so mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so on those three levels, You know, there may be people watching now. Now, some may be, wanting to grow. Like, come on, half an hour with you, whoever's going to be in front of you is going to be like, I got to do something. I got to put a time limit on it. I got to go for it. I got to do it. I got to grow, right? So, what have you found? Now, this really is about what comes up for you first. So what have you found mentally, emotionally, and spiritually were the roadblocks that held you back from becoming who you were driven to be? And how did you overcome them?
So it's mainly mentally, emotionally, when I would look at other people as competition, when I would think, oh, he's here, I want to be here. And that I think was the most destructive journey that I took when I compared or set my yardsticks based on what other people were doing. Because when I overtook them or I went ahead, I found out that they didn't exist. This whole persona was built up. It was fake. And I didn't need to do that. That if their yardstick was here, what choices would I make? If they didn't exist, would I still do it this way? Would I still do it in this timeline? Would I still do it with this mindset and thought process? It was very destructive. It's literally to beat somebody, to overtake somebody, you have to be on that path. But do I really want to be on that path? So that was one big roadblock, which brought me a lot of emotional distress. You have somebody else's success as your yardstick. That's the worst thing to do emotionally. I think physically, I never really, I'll tell you physically, I was always afraid to fall sick, because when I started my career and my first ever corporate assignment got rejected because the guy said, look, we are taking all our people to Greece. Okay, it's a big convention on your name. What if you don't show up? And I said, why won't I show up? And he says, what if you fall sick? Now, I didn't have an answer. How do I guarantee that I won't fall sick? He said, what's your backup plan? Who will back you up? I didn't have a backup. And it is that day, 26 years ago, and today, I have called off one event because I was sick and I needed surgery. I do not fall sick. So it made me realize that can I guarantee to show up? And the only way I will not come is if I'm dead. And that's, you will hear that, and maybe I'll just record something. I've pre-recorded a session in case I'm dead. So if I've committed to you that I am going to show up for Speak Up Monday and I don't, there is a recorded session you will get, which was recorded like 15 years ago. So, I will make up for that as well. I think spiritually, what was the major roadblock for me was seeing the world through the filter of my goals and my aspirations, and to understand that what I want may not be what everybody else wants, and that's okay. How can I accommodate other people's wants and desires and strengths and visions, and collaborate, not necessarily align them with mine. So when somebody joins my company, when I get somebody on board on whatever position it may be, I always ask them, what is your vision for your future? What's your goal? How can I help you with my purpose to get there? And if I genuinely can't, and if I feel they are just too disconnected or want different things, I will still help them get there differently. So I never try to mold people into my way, mold people into my thinking and my purpose. I want parallels, that we both make it to our destination, which is something I used to do before. It was from a state of arrogance that my purpose is primary. And if you're going to be with me, this is yours too, you inherit it. And again, that brought a lot of stress, because while people may agree because they need you, I always had to watch my back. Are they really sincere? Or will they leave? Will they double cross me? And so on. So yes, this has been and all originating from me. And there's no roadblock outside. If I'm willing to see from different viewpoints, then I think it's a clear road.
And then if I asked you, what is your Achilles heel now? What would you say?
That's that's really cool that you asked. So I'll tell you, Robert. All my life, imagine I've been working from 13 at the age of 13, and it's not work and play. I have never taken a break. I don't know how to party. It's like even if you take me to a club with blaring music, I can still write a book. I do not know how to participate in that kind of life. And suddenly I feel, I think I have overrun on that. I can take a back step and put the reins in other people's hands. That imagine I'm not there. Where does it end? So I am pretending I am not there anymore. So people are very surprised when I say, go ahead of me, go ahead of me. They're suspicious. Is she real? And I genuinely want to see. I want to experience my absence, and so what do I do in the interim is exactly what I didn't do or till the age of 48. So my Achilles heel is letting go, and because I've built it, it has my signature, and I'm putting it slowly into the hands of other people and say, take it, extend it.
And if I asked you, does Priya Kumar love herself, what would you say?
Oh, I think I'm the only genuine person who loves myself, without judgment. Like, I make mistakes, and I'm the first one to tell myself, it's okay. It's okay. Make good, move on. I've never really had to hear from other people. I give myself attention, a lot of attention. So luckily for me, because my attention because I'm the product, you see. When I go and talk, I'm the product. So I look after myself. I invest in myself. I have never questioned what I needed, even if it is to do my hair. I know it will add to my confidence. I do not compromise when it comes to what I want, how I feel. It's self-love.
Got it.
And it's so easy to extend it to others. Imagine when I love myself and we meet, you're getting a beautiful item. You're getting a beautiful package. Who's not demanding, who's not relying on you for happiness. And I'm not telling you, hey, you spoke to me like that, you didn't get me flowers, you didn't do this. I'm very happy. So you go be yourself. And I feel when people take care of themselves, they also take away the burden from others to do things for them, to please them. I am enough all by myself.
Well, you see, now I'm going to say it again. I love that.
No, you're just so amazing. You see,
that.
You need that receptor or endowment to even catch what I'm saying. So we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, it's funny because, when we had a chat yesterday for the first time, for 15, 20 minutes, I was telling, my partner, my girl Marina, saying, she's amazing. There's a connection, and it's beautiful, and it's a pleasure to meet people like you, because then it stokes that fire. It reminds us of things that maybe we've forgotten. It moves us in different ways that are non-physical. It's within us. It's this vehicle within, this core of us that gets moved in a very good way. And the question that just dropped in is that so like all of your, and we're going to do this again, Priya, because I could speak to you for hours, but I'm also aware of people that they're like, they've got their coffee and they're like, man, how long? What? They're still going? I don't think they're going to stop, right? So the question comes up, that all of this, amazing history that you've had, that we haven't even gone into the film, the movie, the books, there's so much there, but we're getting you, and this is a person who really wants to not only flourish herself, but has this mission to pass this on to other people in a way that it just it multiplies, right? Which is beautiful. And so now you're developing, is it like a course, a workshop, or something where all of these things can kind of come through? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So thank you for asking. So I have a digital platform which we're launching in April, which is called Genius Inside. Like I believe without a shadow of doubt that each one of us have, this special endowment, which is just waiting expression. And if each one could do that, imagine it would be such an amazing world that we're living to our potential. So we have courses which are practical. See, I'm not a great fan of theory. I'm a great fan of reality. Tell me the real story. Tell me who's done it. Show me how he did it, and go back to, like how you took me back to the root and foundation. So that is doable. Today, when a grandparent has, grandchildren, so easy to say, why don't you tell me? Why don't you find out for me? Such a simple thing, versus complicating stuff and putting them under loads and loads of information and knowledge, just real stuff. And that's what we're gathering on the platform in various genres, from soft skills to transformation to personal development and so on, where a person can participate and be on the journey, not just listen, be on the journey. And that's where we're taking people. It will launch in April.
Oh, wonderful. And when that does, make sure that you remind me, and we'll definitely share it here. And,
Yes.
I laugh because, none of this is scripted, as you know, but the people watching, just so you know, like none of this is scripted. And, as I said, we're approaching 250 interviews or Q&As that go deep. They're an hour and a half plus. It's not like a 10-minute little thing that then you move on. You don't learn anything in general. So the thing which I found with you is that, firstly, the longest introduction ever needs to be longer because you've got, was it the 1900
Yes,
people?
1900.
I mean, come on, that's got to be in there, Priya. You got to find a space to put that in because that's phenomenal, right? So what I find with you is that you have this ability, to not only propagate, so to not only create ideas, but also to implement. So you're doing the courses, you're doing the training, and you follow up. You answer your emails. It's you, answering in an age where, look, I've got friends who, I've mentioned one of their names, but I won't mention it again. But he proudly tells me like it's the first time every time, and he tells me maybe it's like 3 or 4 times a month it comes up, that he has something like he receives, I don't know how many emails a day, but it's a lot, and he hasn't looked at his email for like 5 years or something like that.
Oh my God.
Right? Yeah. I mean, look, he has a team, right? That obviously look at the emails and then sift and sort and and say, look, this is a one for you, but he has that. But just to hear that someone like you, who has all of this body of knowledge and is busy and has got all these things going on, still takes the time to do that. Like that's energetic, and whoever's receiving this from you is getting you. So that's just one thing that I just picked up.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I just want to put it there again because it's something which is incredibly powerful. And again, we're all energy beings. We're energy beings. So when I do something, when I give something, it's a legitimate exchange of energy. So it's very powerful. But energy takes energy. So
Yes.
so like there's two more questions that come up now. Now one question is we're beginning to draw this to a close, this particular one, and how we usually end the show is that we give you, the guest, an opportunity, to speak about whatever it might be, and it might be reiterating, something that you've already said. It might be something completely new or different that is like, oh, I haven't mentioned that and I wanted to. It could be that as well, or something completely different from that, and we'll give you that opportunity to do that, and that's the last one. But the penultimate was, but the penultimate one that came up is that you know, in your life, you know, when you look back, and we often say to ourselves, you know, look, you know, I wouldn't change a thing because that has made me who I am today. That successful failure gave me this, and da 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 da. And there you go. I regret nothing, right? So if I asked you, and you know what's coming, you know, if there was anything, and it's anything that comes up, or the first thing that comes up, is there anything that you really would have done differently, looking back?
Would have done differently.
Yeah.
Now, when I look back, I think I would have been, you know, a little more crazier, you know, because there are a lot of things that I put into judgment of reality in terms of possibilities, in terms of timelines, in terms of hopes. So I would remove those barriers, you know, and reality is just because, again, like I said, because it's been done before and because it takes this much time. So therefore, I also have to plan like that. And it says you don't get what you deserve, you get what you expect. You know, so I expected that, and therefore I feel that I could have been much faster. I could have been, you know, further from here if I wouldn't have built myself per other people's standards. So that's something that I did change. But if I would have changed it faster, I would have been in a different place right now.
You know, there's this lady called Bonnie Ware. So Bonnie is B for Bravo, O R for Rob, O double N for November, I-E. Bonnie Ware, W-A-R-E. So Bonnie Ware. And she's a terminal, I don't think she's a terminal care nurse anymore, but she was a terminal care nurse for many years. And so what that means is that it's like a hospice. So when you're pronounced to have a few weeks of life left, this particular life, you have as options, and one of them is to go into this hospice or these institutions that kind of are the ones that help to shepherd you over to the next part of your life, whatever that looks like. So what she did is that, and it's called Regrets of the Dying. That's it, Regrets of the Dying. And I think it's being made into a movie. As last time I spoke to her a couple of years ago, it's being made into a movie. And so what it is this. She asked questions, you know, like, what is it that you regret most? And this was of all the people, once they had come to terms with the fact that they were about to transition to the next place, only at that stage did she then ask them this question. And she wrote down all these answers. And over years, she got all this data and then brought all this data into a list, like a top 10, you know. And I won't go through all 10. I'll just go to number 1. So the number 1 regret of the dying, you know, that she found from her research, years of working in this terminal care ward, like a hospice, was this: I wish that I would have lived the life that I wanted to live, not the life that other people wanted me to live. So I'll repeat that once more. So the number 1 regret of the dying, it's called Regrets of the Dying, is this, you know, I wish that I would have lived the life that I wanted to live, not the life that other people wanted me to live. So when I say that story, you know, that true story, what comes up for you?
That's interesting, because I am living the life I want to live, you know, and I've been very clever about it. Give me some time. And, you know, you can work on extensions. So, but I'll tell you honestly, something that I regret, and I've been mindful about it ever since, is that I should have given more time to the people that I love. Like, I lost my grandparents, you know, that if I knew that I had this much time with them, I think I could have put other things on hold, which really didn't matter, you know, or I can't think of all the important things I did while I didn't give them time. So, you know, my dogs, like, I lost one of my dogs earlier, and I felt, hey, there was so many times she came up to me and I didn't pick her up. What was I doing? You know, and now that I wish that, oh my God, she could be back. And for years, I would go and sit on her grave, you know, just saying one more time, I wish I could hold you. I was that I love my dog that much. And then they built a building on it, so I had to stop going. So, when my dogs come, I know it's limited. My time with people I love is limited. And so when they come, I pick them up. They've been in every single webinar that I have done. I'm not the kind who will shoo them off, because I don't know whether I'm going to regret this or not. So time and attention to loved ones when they need it, is my primary. It supersedes everything, every single thing. I don't want to look back and say, I didn't do that, I could have done that, and just one more time, it won't come. So yes, that is one thing I regretted. I wish I had some more time with my grandparents. I never will. So somehow their personality, their purpose, their values live through me, and I say, okay, I have you around. That's the best that I can do. So yes.
I have two children. They're 5 and 7. My beautiful partner, Marina, might be watching this. And as I mentioned, we live here in Bali, Indonesia. And, and as I said before, it's like every Q&A conversation like this that I have, it causes me to reflect upon things. And, one thing that I'm not so proud about is, is that, like, there'll be times where I'm working away and I tend to be kind of all in, he's all in, this guy is all in, head down, and I'm like, and I can go that way for a period of time. And there are times where the kids, like come in and say, Daddy, 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 come and see my house, or Daddy, 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 come and play with me this, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. And I've got to say that too many times I've said I'm busy, and that's that one is kind of hanging with me now, and something which I do need to take action on, and what you've said just it reminded me straight out, that little tap on the shoulder of like Rob. And the other thing is that, so Marina, my girl again, is that I remember when they're a little bit younger, I would be the one who'd be saying, look, our kids, they're a bit spoiled, like, and what I realized again was that, of course, they're spoiled. They're your kids, but then it's more than that. Looking back now, and I had this conversation with her just the other day, and I just said, you know what? I apologize because, I thought that, having like spoiled kids and not doing this, and this, and not driving them, was the right thing to do. But, for the circumstances. But looking back, I realized that the most important thing is that they feel loved.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
What came up for you?
Like, a lot of my close friends, I have seen a lot of people passing away in the pandemic, and it's hit people so badly because they were not prepared to lose. Not at this moment, not this way, and in India, it was so bad that if the person who passed away was COVID positive, they wouldn't even give the body, so it has been a very traumatic emotional loss for people. And each one, especially the people that I knew, they said, I wish I had known. I really wish I had known this was the only time that we had. I would have lived differently. And I know that their life is going to change after this, to understand the value. But you know what? These are deep regrets that you cannot overcome, because this is love, and because you have no further communication with people. Like I tell my mother, if I go, I'll tell you how I will communicate. So watch out. I will be there. You will see a vase topple over. Perhaps that's me, or things like that, just to, because it's tough for the people left behind, because then we can truly see. So it was a great reminder for me that I'm on the right track, and when it demands in that moment, not when I have time, because now that person is not in that state of I need you, and if I can't be there, then nothing, it will just kill me to be alive then. So yes, that's something that I have been mindful of, and I've seen a lot of people pained by it, especially in these times.
Wow, there's a girlfriend of mine, and I think 2 or 3 years ago, her partner took his own life, and still to this day, and we spoke briefly the other day, she's still dealing with it, whether it's paying off debts or whether it's this, and she said, I haven't had the chance to grieve yet, and it just hit me again. It's like, whoa, and we really, don't realize, what we leave behind if we're in that kind of place. So it just popped in. So and I said before there were 2 questions, which of course there wasn't. But honestly, the last 2 questions, so the topic for tonight was about securing a successful 2022. So if there were maybe like three or 4 points, that come up for you, and this might be reiterating what you said before as well, but just to give people something that they can hold on to, maybe something practical or at least mental, emotional that they can hold on to give them, some tools or techniques to take forward with them. What kind of 3 or 4 things would you say would be really powerful to do, and maybe some practical or a practical tip that would help them on that journey?
I think number 1 would be know who you are. And this is something that I do every day. I remind myself, who am I? Like, who's going to go out into the world? Am I going to be defined, or am I going to act out of my beingness? So I always, and I have a huge list. If you ever come to my house, there are notes stuck on the wall. You don't see bare wall anywhere. These are reminders for myself, because you know what? It's so easy to forget that somebody who's saying, who am I? My God, how much of other people's input you have taken and believed to have forgotten. So who am I? I remind myself, even if it is, I'm a creator, then behave like one. I am a positive person, then be it all day. I'm a solution-oriented person. Awesome. And it should show up. I'm mindful. I have reminders. I have a folder on my phone which says, who I am. Very important. Then second is, I have to be in charge of my growth, because whether I like it or not, I am being reshaped by the environment, by people, and I better decide for myself. So my growth plan is set by me every single day. Sometimes I miss it, but I study. And study is not just read a book. Study is study, apply. Study, apply. That for me is study every single day, almost. And when I say almost, I might miss a day and I might, compensate it for the next day. Third is grow your connections. Who you know is very, very important, and by that, I just don't mean powerful people or important people. Just grow your connections. You don't know who you may be called upon to help. Like, do enough people know me? Can they reach out to me if they need help? And do I know enough people that I can reach out to give opportunities? So that's very crucial. And fourth is keep working. No matter what happens, yes, sit back and cry for a while, but get back to work. Get back to work. Get back to work. It's like a player, when he loses a match, he has a match the next day, he has to get back to work. He's not going to sit and sulk beyond a certain period of time. And I think if these 4 are going hand in hand on a daily basis in your conscious decision, then your success is secured. Whatever you want is secure.
Love that. Wow. Love that. And this is the last question, right? Because remember, you got your bit. You got your bit at the end, so it's really 2. Right.
Yes.
So I should have asked this question probably in the beginning, but do you have family or children, or I know you have dogs?
Yes. So my mother lives with me. I have my father, I have my brother, and my sister-in-law, and 2 nieces and 2 dogs. So yes, and the larger world is my family, and genuinely so. Like, everybody who works with me can vouch for it. It is like family. So yes. One day maybe I will get married. Let's see.
Yeah, because I was just, I know why it came up. I'm like, she is so remarkable and busy. Like, is there space in her life to have. I know you have 3 million children, you know, like at the end of the day, you know, like everyone is 3 million kids. A lot of kids, Mum, right? But I just think about you, you know, like being like a mother, you know, like you'll just be phenomenal. I mean, there's so much wisdom that you carry with you. But yeah, you know, it was just a question, you know, that came up. I wonder if Priya has any children, and I wonder if she has any inclinations in that direction, or whether she's so on her mission and on a journey that like that's not part of the picture at the moment.
I just felt, you know, in the past few years, I just felt it would be unfair to invite a relationship if I can't give it attention and time.
Yeah.
It would be so unfair to say, sorry, but I'm gone. Sorry, but I'm gone. You know, that's not cool. You know, I had rather do that well. And rather make that an example again, you know, make it so beautiful that there are two people who are moving on their journey to evolution, and that takes time. So like I said, now that, you know, I have taken, I am allowing other people to go ahead of me. So maybe, let's see.
Yeah, that'd be great, because, you know, it's like you mentioned, you know, that Achilles heel for you is about letting go, you know, and about taking a breath. No, but I know you got self-love and lots of that, which is fantastic. But yeah, letting go. Maybe that's part of the future. We'll see. But look, you know, remember, in about a minute or so, about a minute and a bit, we're going to come back to you with any closing words, closing, whatever comes up for you. It might be reiterating something that you've said already, or it might be something else. And remember as well to let us know about where we can connect, where people can connect with you as well. So that will be in about a minute's time or so. So I just want to let everybody know, if you're tuning in from India or here in Bali, I've got friends in Australia and the UK where it's pretty early that are tuning in. So I want to thank you for taking the time, and just to remind you that, look, we do this, we're almost at 250. We do this once or twice or sometimes 3 times every week. And you can find out what's going on by joining SpeakuP. That's one word, SpeakuP, then Monday group on Facebook, or SpeakuP, and then Monday, all one word, on Instagram. And then we've got other things, email, databases, and all the rest of that stuff. But if you like what you hear and you like the vibe of this, you know, about encouraging people to come together, to unify, you know, to recognize our differences, acknowledge them, but kind of realize that we're kind of drawn from the same pond, right? So if this sings to you, feel free to share this as well, because the more people that share the message that Priya's been talking about tonight, you know, then we really have a chance to have impact. And impact is about collaboration and partnership. Even if we don't meet, you know, it's about feeling what we feel, taking the action, sharing it with other people, and being the light that we want to see in the world. You know, I'm a massive believer of that. You know, be the light that you want to see in the world. There are times where I failed absolutely miserably at doing it, but then you pick yourself up and you start again. Because remember, as Zig Ziglar once, I'm pretty sure he said it hundreds of thousands of times, as he said, you know, today is the first day of the rest of your life. So today is the first day of the rest of your life. So you decide what you want to do today, and whatever you decide and commit to, you become. And that's it, right? That's it. That's what we've spoken about tonight. And there are some incredible people like Priya who are out there giving you the tools to do this as well, which is phenomenal. So that brings me to you. You are now Sister Priya. That's your name. It's not Ms. Priya Kumar. You are Sister Priya Kumar. That's how you're part of the SpeakuP Monday family now. Look, I just want to thank you for reaching out. Somehow you found me online. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to having more of this, with a camera, without a camera, however it comes. I've really appreciated your time. Really appreciated your honesty, sincerity, authenticity with your answers. And even though I know you do, you know, thousands or hundreds of interviews, it's not an easy thing to come into a
Yeah.
deep dive, open format Q&A where it's like, I don't know where we're going to go. I remember earlier on your sister was saying, look, Rob, give me a, like, what are we going to talk about tonight? I said, what are we going to talk about? Yeah, nothing I can give you except, it's a deep dive, open format Q&A, and we go with the energy of what there is, and that's for this one. The next one might focus more upon the books, more upon the film, whatever it might be. But what we've done tonight is exactly what we're supposed to be. And so I just want to thank you for being, a wonderful guest and allowing this energy from India, Bali, London, to flow through and to direct us and to have this really great conversation. So Priya, sister Priya Kumar, thank you so much. And over to you to see us out.
Yes, thank you. So sorry, I didn't hear that. Over to you too?
To see us out. So now it's up to you. There's something you want to leave us with.
Okay. So, you said that earlier. So I think on a parting note, I would just put a reminder for everybody, including myself, that be yourself. Stop pretending to be who you're not. Stop apologizing for yourself. Because you see, while we may cover the journey in pretense, success won't be worth it. It'd be somebody else who made it, not you. And if you're still upset, because we see so many people that we wonder, while they had everything, why did they take their life? Why did they end it? Why are they like that? Why are they really gone? Because they lost themselves somewhere. They stopped being themselves. So I think the greatest success is to be who you are, to express it, to speak up, to live the way you want to. The money, the fame, everything else is secondary. If you cannot be and express in honesty the way you want it, nothing is worth it. And some of them, some of you, some of us, me at some point have felt that too. So I would say just be true to yourself and leave that.
Sister Priya, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is number one of many. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much, Robert. More power to you.
Thank you, darling.
More power to you.
Blessings. Thank you.